Breaking news from the White House, a statement from President Joe Biden issuing preemptive pardons for a number of individuals that he said he is fearful will be persecuted, politically persecuted. I just want to tick through for you the list of people that the president says he is pardoning preemptively today. They include General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci. We also have members and staff of the committee that investigated the January 6th insurrection.
Joe Biden's presidency ended in a whirlwind controversy with sweeping preemptive pardons issued just before Trump's inauguration. Framed as protection from political persecution, critics called it an attempt to shield his inner circle. The timing and scope raised questions about transparency, leaving the nation to grapple with the implications of this polarizing act.
Now he departs, and the fatal flaw, perhaps, is that he has paved the way for Donald Trump's return to power. The thinking was he would be this transformational figure early on with some of these big legislative achievements that he celebrated. He would be a transitional figure as well. But, of course, now the transition is back into the hands of Republicans. And I think that's going to tarnish his legacy, certainly in the near term right now, by choosing to run again and then waiting too long to decide to drop out. In terms of how he can still impact his legacy in these waiting hours,
Biden's decision to issue these pardons not only reflected his concern for the individuals named, but also underscored a presidency riddled with missteps and strategic errors. Analysts pointed to Biden's choice to seek re-election, only to see his administration struggle under mounting scandals and controversies. With Trump's return to power, Biden's presidency is now framed as a transitional moment rather than a transformational one, marked by his failure to unite a divided nation. His final hours in office, instead of highlighting achievements, are overshadowed by decisions that further polarized the country and left his critics emboldened.
Even as we were speaking, I was waiting for this conversation, had been told by White House officials yesterday there would be more pardons and commutations coming out today. As clockwork, they came out this morning. So he has the record of pardons and commutations. But the ones to wait on are still the preemptive pardons. Will there be some for those that many in his circle, he included, thinks could be targeted? The Liz Cheneys, the Adam Schiffs, the others. And I'm told that the president is, quote, considering this very seriously, even at this hour, that if they happen, they're likely to happen tomorrow morning just before he leaves office.
This decision was anything but impulsive. Biden and his team had been deliberating for weeks, weighing the potential fallout from extending pardons to individuals tied to his administration. Political allies like Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff were considered among the recipients, as Biden's advisors sought to protect them from what they anticipated would be a wave of retaliatory investigations under Trump's leadership. The broad scope of the pardons hinted at an underlying fear within Biden's administration about the incoming Republican majority and its plans for political retribution.
In this lengthy statement that he just released, he says, I believe in the rule of law, and I am optimistic that the strength of our legal institutions will ultimately prevail over politics. But he says these are exceptional circumstances, and I cannot in good conscience do nothing. Now, when he is talking about exceptional circumstances, of course, he is referring to the incoming president, Donald Trump, who has made very clear in all of his public statements that he is focused on taking revenge on people, on individuals who he sees as having done him wrong.
Biden justified his actions by pointing to the unique challenges posed by Trump's incoming administration, which had signaled its intention to pursue aggressive investigations. His statement reflected a belief that he was protecting individuals from politically motivated persecution, even as critics argued he was weaponizing the pardon power to protect his legacy. The inclusion of figures like Dr. Anthony Fauci and General Mark Milley revealed the extent of Biden's concerns about what lay ahead under Trump's leadership. Despite Biden's insistence that these pardons were necessary, the move further divided an already fractured political landscape.
A lot of the members of the January 6th committee said that they didn't want preemptive pardons. They hadn't committed any crimes. They didn't think it was necessary. But there is always just the question of even a prosecution that isn't going anywhere is still going to cost potential defendants up to millions and millions of dollars to just defend themselves.
Right.
Even among the recipients, the decision was met with mixed reactions. Members of the January 6th committee, for instance, publicly denied any wrongdoing and questioned the necessity of the pardons. Still, they acknowledged the potential financial and reputational costs of being targeted by a politically charged investigation. This ambiguity further complicated the narrative surrounding Biden's final act as president, leaving his defenders and detractors to clash over the true motivations behind his decision.
You could expect more pardons. I'm not going to go into details of what that's going to look like. It is not unusual for a president to do that, and so you should expect that from this president.
The White House had hinted at the possibility of more pardons in the days leading up to Biden's exit. Karine Jean-Pierre emphasized that such actions were not unusual for a president. Still, her comments left room for speculation about whether the administration anticipated backlash or simply aimed to normalize a controversial decision. For many observers, these remarks underscored the strategic planning behind Biden's pardons, revealing a calculated effort to manage the optics of his final hours. Joe Biden's unprecedented use of preemptive pardons in his final hours as president has ignited a fierce debate about the role and limits of executive power. While Biden and his allies argue these pardons were necessary to protect individuals from politically motivated retribution, critics claim they symbolize the corruption and hypocrisy of his administration. His insistence on acting in exceptional circumstances raises questions about the ethical boundaries of the pardon power and whether it was wielded responsibly. As Trump begins his second term, Biden's legacy is now closely tied to this polarizing decision. Were these pardons justified, or do they represent an abuse of power? How should presidential authority be reined in or expanded in the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below.